Okay. So this is just going to be a practice for just pretending like we're making a flyer, but it's with the purpose of focusing on what different elements are available inside of Canva, what they look like, so you know what you're looking at when you're creating. I'm going to create a couple pages here. So in this PDF document, if you don't already have it, for those who've been in the class, I'll make sure I email it. But so if you look at the very first option for elements and effects, you're looking at different textures. So the textures, whether it's the background or the image that you're using with the design, you want to focus on what those different textures and background effects look like. One that's used very often is the grunge texture. It has that like grungy effect to it, like it's like almost like it's distorted to a degree. But when you just say, if you want to do your search and you type in grunge, you'll see all these like grungy effects that basically you'll see a lot of on like t-shirt layers. I'm trying to think what else. Even like sometimes when it comes down to like when people are creating for like football season, you'll see those like grunge effects that they use very often inside of Canva. So it has like that weird grungy hardcore look to it. But it does, once you use it, it stands out a lot. So I'm just going to click on several of them so you can get an idea of what that looks like. Oh, she got to get back in. Hold on, let me get her back in. Hold on, I think we're good. Okay, so this is just to give you some idea of what different grunge effects look like here. So whenever you're just say creating like t-shirts or any like backgrounds, these are just some of the looks that you may run into. And then even I'll go so far as to like a grunge background. It has like that real like grungy rough look to it. Just kind of give you an example of some so you can kind of get an idea. So when you're looking up grunge, you want to find the ones that you either number one like and can see yourself using very often. And then when you do that, what I often tell individuals to do is create a folder. I'm going to show you what to do in order to do that. You can do one of two ways. I'm just going to go back to the top. Just say if this is an item that I can see myself using and using very often, I would actually go into where you see those three dots, and then you can add it. If you look at it down here just to the right, you can add it to a folder or create a folder to put it inside of, so that it makes it very easy for you to have access to it on a regular basis. And so that's kind of give you an idea of what the grunge image looks like. And that's like from the image, like for graphics. But this is the look that you'll get, just say, even for a background. Let me move down some just so you can get an idea of what that looks like. So that's like a background image. I like this. I can see where I can get a lot of use out of this image here, but just so you can have an idea of what that might look like. So that's like the grunge effect or grunge background. The other one you may run into often is the ripped paper. That's another effect or texture or that you may run into. So just say ripped paper. That one is often used as well. You'd be surprised, like just say, even if I took the background, just say, even just using this, if I took the background, change it to another color, that's the effect that you'll get from like a ripped paper effect. And there's, several. Let me just kind of give you some examples. There's the frame. There's frames that you can use with the ripped paper effect as well. Just kind of give you some idea of what that needs to look like.
No, one was at beaches.
And so there's different things that you can actually use with the ripped paper effect. So there's so many different ways you can use it, whether it's through image itself or a photo. When you just type in with elements and you type in ripped paper, it'll give you, whether it's the shapes, whether it's an image or photo, graphics, you'll get different ideas of what that rip effect will look like. So just taking and playing around with it when you're creating designs in order to kind of get an idea and just kind of play around with what you want to, the concept of your design when you're making it. Let me just quick close this out. All right, and let me just see here. Another example, watercolor blotches is almost like a splatter effect, almost to a certain degree. Noise, static, like a grainy look. Leather texture, I do often use that. Brick wall, marble, concrete surface, sand. So, and that's just textures and background effects. There's several which I do use also, like sparkles, like magic elements, like you use the starburst, I'm sorry, or like lens flame. It gives that like flame, that background. Just say if you're using it on an obituary, you got kind of like that lens, like glow to it. Um, some of the light trails, firefly effects, different things like that, sparkles, which I believe a lot of time between sparkles and glitter that's used very often. So these are just some of the elements that you want to just kind of look up in your search on Canva, just to kind of take a look at it, see what it looks like, how it, how it kind of resonates with you when you're using those different effects. So it gives you an idea of what you want or how you want to implement those inside of your design. I did go over like the torn paper stationery effects, frames, which is used very often. I'll quick go over that, like photo effects and frames, which we use often. Decorative accents, depending on like what you're trying to create, swirls, typograph banners, things like that. Just kind of using these documents, using this document to play around with elements and see how that looks for you, so that when you want to create at any given time, you can kind of refer back to this document when you're creating. And even when you're practicing, just kind of play around with some of these just to kind of see what it looks like for you. Does anyone have any questions as it relates to the elements? Okay. So that's elements. Text, uh, those are pretty much self-explanatory. I did mention during a previous class the ability to incorporate new other texts that are not inside of Canva. So for example, and I'm going to close this out. So I'm just kind of give you the meats and potatoes before we design. So just say if you want to create something and the text that you would like to use is not necessarily already inside of Canva. So when you click on the text, it gives you it gives you some examples of text that you can use, like the layout. They're usually grouped together, but then also if it's a text that you want to incorporate that's not already in there, you do have the flexibility to do that as well. So just say if I'm typing up something, I want to add text box, which is to the left, you just click add text. And you can just say, this is a text box. Okay. So obviously, let me just quick expand this a little bit. That gives you the generic text automatically. You do have the ability to use several different type of text in your design, but just say there's a design that, or a particular text that you have in mind that's not inside of this platform. There are several options online that you can actually take advantage of. So you know what, this is cool, but this is not what I'm looking for. I want to upload new ones. So if you notice here, when I'm looking for different text on the bottom, it gives you the option to upload a font. So by doing that, it gives you the option to add more on to what you already have as an option. And usually I'll tell individuals that there's different platforms online that you can take advantage of. One of them is font. Let me see here, free. I'll just type in free font. There's several actually. It's DaFont, which is spelled DAFONT. That's one platform where you can download free font. There's one that's called 1001 Free Fonts. You can use that one as well. And then also Font Space. The one I use most of the time is DaFont, because I don't have to worry about whether or not they are absolutely free. But if you ever go into this website, it gives you a whole list of different type of fonts that you can use. There's different categories. But just say, you know what, I like this particular font here, Morgan, and I want to implement, I want to actually use that particular font inside of Canva. So if you go into, when you're in this website and you see on the right-hand side, it says download, you can click on download and actually download that font onto your computer. What happens when you when you download it, it goes into your downloads folder right here. So it says, this is the one, it says Morgan. Did she get knocked out? Let me just readmit her. I think she got kicked out of the class. I'm sorry. So if you go to the folder that it was just download and click on extract all, and then it'll actually extract it. So now that particular font is saved onto your computer. Now, what you will do if you want to use that particular font is go back over to where it says upload a font. And when you click on download, you'll see that particular font folder. It says Morgan 4. You want to double click on that, click on that particular option again, and then click on open. It's going to always want you to confirm it. You're going to automatically just click yes. And so now, as long as you have access to Canva, you'll always have that particular font inside the folder. So I'm just find it really quick. It said it was Morgan. Yep, Morgan regular. So it's located inside my folders. It's actually located where it says like all of my downloads, uploaded fonts. So I'm gonna go click on Morgan regular. And now I have access to this particular font inside of Canva at all times. So that gives you the option to go into different platforms and upload fonts inside of Canva, so you can use that as an option or leverage to use some more creativity as it relates to fonts. So we'll go over brands a later time, just because it's more so if you want to set up like your business brand, set up, you know, like the colors that you want to use, so that whenever you're creating, it automatically gives you might want to, someone may want to mute theirs for just a moment. You can always unmute if you have any questions. It's just like, it sounds like it's like staticky or something, or echoing. I'm sorry. So we'll definitely go over the brand options. So, and then the next tab is uploads, which for some of you, you're already familiar with. So I'm gonna kind of try to get through this as quickly as I can. If you have images that you want to use, you can always upload those into Canva as well to work on your design. For example, these images that I have right here, I've created them using Midjourney. And because I wanted to make sure I utilize it inside of my inside of this design, I'm gonna quick show you how to do that. There's several ways that you can upload a file. So I have a folder of several designs that I've created, but I would just say if there's one in particular that I want to download, and just say this is an image that I like, or even if you find an image on online. So just say this image I'm downloading because I want to use that into my design. Anytime you download an image, it'll give you the option. There's an arrow on the far right-hand side. You can't really see it, but it gives you the option to click on all of what you've downloaded. And all you have to do is left-click your mouse onto that particular file, drag it over. Make sure you keep it keep the click down, but drag it over, and it's going to automatically drop that file over into your folder. The other thing is, just say if you're like doing, I need a picture of Malcolm. I want to do use a picture of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Mind you, obviously you want to keep in mind all kinds of copyright stuff, but just say for the sake of designing, you want to just use an image of this individual. Let me just see here. I'll just say I want to use this one. So that's the image I want to use. So you want to make sure that your uploads is open. You want to click this, again, left click it, and you want to drag it over to your Canva site and then drop it over here. And so it's going to automatically put this image inside here. The other thing is you want to click on upload files. So if there's something already in your files that you want to use, you can always click on upload or downloads in your folder and then click on the image, open, and it's going to automatically do the same thing. Projects, that's where I mentioned to you that you can create folders where you can start to save things. If you notice when you click on projects, you'll see if there's projects already there, they'll be displayed. But just say if you want to create a folder, it gives you the option to create a folder. And then just say you want to create a folder for images. So any images that you want to save, you put it inside that folder just to kind of keep it archived so you can know where to go. So when I create a folder, it automatically give me the option to create one for images. So anytime there's an image I find that I want to use more regularly, you can drag and drop, you can save it inside that folder. And then the next one is apps. We'll definitely be using this quite frequently, but this is where you can go in, just say, depending on what you want to do. If you want to do like AI voiceovers, do charts. If you want to create images, I'll show you how to do that as well in here. But there's like different apps that you may want to spend some time playing with. Logo Maker, I'll just kind of give you an idea of some of them that's in here. Dolly, which is an AI generated platform, AI music. So there's so much inside here that you can practice with and get familiar with because they're definitely beneficial, even with creating videos. It's inside the apps. If you want to generate a QR code. So there's so many different things inside of here that you can kind of go and navigate with, just see how it works and just figure out ways that you can implement those different apps inside of Canva, and as far as the artwork that you're working with. Photos, obviously, are the old photos that we've downloaded. Audio, those are different. Just say if you want to include music into a design that you're making, those are different options. But we'll go over. I just wanted to go over the gist of what's on the left-hand side before we get to designing. And so now we are going to focus on creating a new design. I'm just going to close this and delete it as if we didn't ever work on it. So who already have an idea or can tell me what the measurement size is for the design, the obituary design that we're going to work on from the previous class, if you recall? Anyone from the previous class? No? Okay. So if we're focusing on the not so much like the tabloid, but if you want to create like the bigger size, obviously it's 11 by 17. How much more extra space do we need to include to make sure that it's the bleed size is correct?
Is it 0.25?
Yes, ma'am. So the width of it would be 17.25 and the height would be 11.25 in inches. So it's automatically going to display pixels, but you want to automatically change that so that it reflects the image in inches. And how would we go about, and this is just to kind of to see where we are, if we recall what we already remember, how would we go about setting the margins and the ruler, or where would we go to find that?
Up on the file, is it file?
Mm-hmm.
Setting?
Show ruler and guide.
Make
And then
sure it's
also
flat.
you want to show the print bleed.
Right.
And that is so important because number one, when you're creating designs, you want to make sure that you include that print bleed space. Because if you like me, I don't print. I don't even have time for all that. Only thing I'm trying to do is design. So I want to make sure that I incorporate both the ruler and the guide as well as the bleed, so that once I'm done with my design, when I send it off to get printed, it makes it easier for them to make sure that when they print it and trim it, they don't have I don't like white edges. Like I do not like it at all. So it gives them enough space to make sure that they can get that trimmed off. Because all I want to, when my product is done, I want it to literally be as it is once I finish my design. So that's one. So by having the ruler there, you'll automatically see the ruler on the left-hand side and across the top. What I always do to make sure that my design is centered is I'll go over to the left-hand side, left click my mouse, and I'll drag that ruler over so that it centers inside the middle of the project that I'm working on. The way you'll know that it's centered is it'll change from this purple look here, and then it'll turn like a pink. You see that? So that's how you know that it's centered. So you just want to drag that over so you can have that center. So that kind of helps you to focus and keep everything aligned with the design. Now, what are we gonna do today? I think since I've started on Malcolm Jamal, I'm gonna work on him. I think that's what I'm going with. What colors do you guys have a color in mind, or are we just gonna freestyle it right now? Because y'all know I'll freestyle. I don't want to freestyling.
Let's freestyle it.
Let's freestyle it. Okay. So what I do ask that you do as I'm going through and demonstrating, I do ask do not hesitate. We're interacting on here. If you have questions, you're not 100% certain on what I'm doing, please ask questions, because I want you to feel comfortable with being able to do this once we're done with this class, because I'm definitely gonna have you email or I'm check your page to kind of see what we're working with here. So we're gonna go with Malcolm today. What do I typically do when I first start with the design? Just to kind of get the background. So again, the important thing that we always want to focus on is two things: the elements and the layers. Those are going to be your best friends throughout creating designs, because that kind of keeps everything in perspective, and it gives you that layout that you're looking for. So I always will do two things. I always create a color in the background. I might start off with black, but I might possibly change it. But I do start off with a color. So that's kind of like the foundation or the layout of any design that I make. Let me see here. So what I'm going to do, since we're already in here, is I'm going to look for some images that I'm going to play with. I like this one here. I like this one though. It's not big enough, but I like it. So again, I'm going to start dragging and drop. I'm going to close this one up here. I don't need it. If y'all want this one, let me know, because I'll make sure I'll send it to you with the replay. Close that one up. Okay, gotcha. I'll make sure I'll send it. So, and I'm gonna make sure, and if I forget, please let me know. I'm gonna make sure I remind you guys and show you how to do, so you can sell them as a template here. Okay. Okay, close it. I have too many screens open. Okay, so I want to make sure that first of all, I open up the uploads, because I want to make sure I get as many of the different images saved as I can before I get started. So I'm going to drag and drop this one. So again, just click down on this image and you're just going to drag it over to the page that you're working on. I think this is it. Yep, drag and drop it. And then I'm going to go to the top, because I want to make sure I name it first, because I don't want to forget to do that. At the very top, you'll see here right next to your image or icon, at the top, you want to always name your design. Just say Malcolm. I know I did that wrong. Jamal Warner. Obituary. Let's get that right, because that's extra. Okay, so make sure you name your designs at the top. That way you can kind of keep track of, and when I actually save it, it'll automatically save it based on the name I created. So I'm gonna quick get some more images before we kind of get started. This one is perfect. Let me close some of these up real quick. Yep, that one, I like this one here a lot. Yep, similar. Okay. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna work around and get as many of the ones I really want to work with. Um, and because I have no idea who his wife really is, I'm not gonna even play in them areas because that's disrespectful. um, let me see here. I try to at least have a good 5 to 6 images, if at all possible, to kind of navigate and play around with. Um, mm, mm, mm. Okay, I'm gonna drag this one. I may or may not use it, but I'm gonna drag and drop it just in case. And I'm just gonna grab a couple more. We're gonna get started with this image. I like that one. Okay, so I'm gonna drag, drop that one. Again, put that one over in there. And actually, when I'm doing this, when I'm using or grabbing images, I start to actually have an idea of how I want to place them just by like how he's positioned, and so I have an idea of what that's going to need to look like inside of the design. Okay, I could just be an extra picky. Don't mind me, y'all. I'm gonna see if I can find one more, and then we're gonna keep it moving. Okay, this will work for me. Okay, so I got about 1, 2, 3. I got something to work with. Okay. Um, and I think what I am also going to do is, because my patience is real thin with a lot of the verbiage, I'm going to open up this one. I'm gonna open this one back up because I'm just going to copy and paste some of the text just for the sake of time. So just looking at the images, typically when I'm creating designs, I have that like the one image that I want to be like the main like focus, that like I want to kind of make stand out so people can make that one like the focus point or focus image of the layout. Usually the person is usually standing straight up and down, but because he's in different positions here, I'm just kind of play around with it and see what we're gonna do. Um, so I'm gonna take this image. What we do with images, obviously, we want to take and remove the background, which is literally right just above the design here. We want to move the background and change that up so that we can just basically have his picture is what we're working with. I really like this picture. So we're gonna make that one the focus as far as like the center of the images that we're using. And then I really like this one too. And I think I'm gonna stick this one over in this corner because I want to do something else with that. But what I'm gonna also do with this particular image here, if you look at the top, it gives you the option to flip it. And I'm gonna flip this one the other direction because I want it to face this way. So again, I'm gonna come back to that one. And then always removing the background. What I'm going to do with this particular image here is I'm gonna, again, we're gonna go back to layers. So again, the two things is elements and also how we position everything. Your position is gonna be the other thing that you wanna make sure you're focused on as often as possible. So when you click on the position, there's two things you can do. You can do arrange, or you can literally set it up by the layers. I literally focus on the layers itself because it makes it easier for me based on where that exactly it is I want it to be, to just kind of move things around without having to kind of go through these little unnecessary steps. So this image here, I want to position it behind him. So I'm going to take this image and just drag it below the last image so I can have it beneath the primary image here. I may move it around but at least it's going to be directly behind this because this one is going to be the focus. So again, go back to my image. I want to probably flip it. I'm not sure. Yeah, let me try something here. Okay. And then again, just go back to your position. I'm going to keep this one open because I know I'm going to be doing several things with this. But I'm going to put that one behind him. I'm going to show you how to fade out this little area as well. The other one, let me see here. I'm going to grab this one. I really don't need that. So you can always take and move this arrow back and forth to remove this one because I'm not going to do anything with that, but I do want this image and I'm going to see how that plays out. Okay. And then again, I'm going to go back to the position because I want to make sure that that particular image is behind the primary image as well. So when I move it over this way, again, it's going to be directly behind. And position. Always go back to the position because that's where you'll be able to kind of directly click on the image that you want to make some changes to. Anybody have any questions while we're working on these? No questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. So what I want to do with primarily the two images behind the primary is I want to kind of fade it up a little bit. So in order to do that, I want to go back to the positions. I want to click on the image that I want to make some changes to. And then I want to go over to where it says apps over on the far left-hand side. And then when you click on apps, you want to go on what I typically would type in is like image blender or image blend. Because I want to be able to fade that image up and then also put some highlights behind it so it just kind of doesn't have that line there. So over here where it says image blender, you want to click on that. And this image blender, again, it allows you to kind of either fade it up, fade it out, whatever direction you want to kind of give it that fade out look. So the one I usually use is the linear. And then if you pay attention, you can move it around however you want to kind of see how you want to fade it out. But that's the benefit of having the image blender. It gives you that flexibility to kind of fade it however you want to when it comes down to this image. What I want to do is just kind of fade it out this way a little bit. I may change it later, but I'm going to fade it out just because I want to just kind of see what it looks like behind the image, the original image. Always make sure when you do the image blender, you save it because otherwise it's going to go away. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this second image. Go back to position, and then I want this image here. And then you want to go back to your apps, and you want to go back to image blender. Okay. Okay. And I'm not sure why this does that, but for whatever reason, it forces you to do the other one first. Not sure why, but okay. Configure and apply blend. Okay. Let me go back to this image and see what we're doing. There we go. Okay, go back to linear. And then I'm going to move this over a little bit just so I can actually see the changes that are being made. I'm going to move them over so I can see it. There we go. Okay. Fade it out. And that just kind of takes that line down from the bottom, and then I'm going to save it. And I'm going to move it back over. Okay, so, and I do have a feeling I'm gonna probably be changing that up some, but okay, I'm gonna come back around to it. But I always want to, and you don't have to always have like 3 images, but in a lot of cases, what I'll try to do is have like a primary image, the main focus, and then I have images behind to accent the initial image that as like the headliner, I guess. And then this one, I'm gonna edit that a little bit more. So, um, one of the things that I try to recommend, again, everybody, it's entirely up to you how you do it, but I try to stick to a minimum of 2 to 3 fonts to kind of keep it standardized. So it's not like so many fonts across the design, just to kind of keep it standardized because it keeps the focus on the main focus of your design. If you have like 4, 5, 6 different fonts that you're using, it kind of throws off the layout. I often use the term more doesn't necessarily mean better. So you want to try to simplify it enough so that you can capture the audience or whoever it is that you're designing for. So when you're designing, just kind of have like maybe 3 fonts in mind that you're going to use. You may just use 2. You may use all 3 of them, but just kind of keep like a certain, like at least 2 to 3 fonts that you use when you're creating designs. And so I'm going to type in here, and I'll just say in loving memory of, I'm going to put that in the top here. I typically like to use, it's a font called Sinbad. Let me just try and see if I can. Cinzel, that's what it is. And that's spelled Cinzel. I believe that it automatically comes with Canva because I do not recall typing that one in, so, or uploading it. So I'm pretty sure that that one's available. So with this one, I'm just going to type it. I do it a different way, but I'm going to type this one in here. Love in memory of, and I'm going to take this out because I want to center that. And then I'll do another text and type in of. This one I'm going to do in cursive. And let me close that out. And then I'm going to change that to a cursive font or script, as they would use that term. And just find one that kind of fits your idea of what that layout needs to look like. Okay, this one I think I want to go with. That one is called Luxurious Script. I'm going to use that one. And I think what I'm going to do is make this font kind of match his skin tone. So when you go over to your colors, when you click on this color text here, text color, it'll automatically bring your text in for your colors over here based on images that you've already used. And I'm going to, let me see which one. I think I'm gonna go with that one. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm kind of gonna center it right in here. Again, I may change it up, but that's what I'm doing for right now. And then I'm going to put his name right in the center here. So as before I kind of start adding in the text and things like that, what are some elements you think might be a good choice to use for this particular design? Anybody? So it might not be a bad idea to use sparkles. It may not be lens flare. Might be a good idea. Let me just see here. Let me see what other elements I could possibly use. Let me see. I did save some, so I'm gonna go to those and just kind of see what we decide to go with. Um, so let me try. I'm gonna just say lens, glare, or flare, and see what comes up. So I'm gonna select the graphics and see what options I come up with. And again, you can play with it however you want to and see what works out, what kind of pops out at you until you find the one that actually, no, I know I don't like that one. And it'll give you different options to kind of play around with. Let me see here. Until you can kind of, until you're satisfied with that, whatever comes up. I think I'm gonna go with the lens flare that I saw initially. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna try to stick with the one that I saw in the beginning. And I'm probably gonna put this one directly behind him. So I'm gonna click on position, and then I'm gonna put that behind this image here. So again, it's important when when you're able to kind of go to the positions and change the layers to know where the images are so you can immediately go directly to that and make the necessary changes. Let me see here. Okay. And so with that being said, with this one, I'm not gonna change the color of it, but I'm gonna make this one an outline. And then, so what I'm doing with this here is I'm gonna make an outline effect. So when you go to effects, it gives you the option for shadow, lift, to splice it up a little bit. I'm gonna do an outline, but I want that color to possibly be um, similar to that glare. So I clicked on the plus button. It says pick a color, so you can click on that, and then you just kind of drag it around and see how you want that to look. So it's either that or actually white. Trying to see which one I want to go with. Yeah, I think I'll stick to the white. And then I'm gonna bring it in just a little bit so it's not overbearing. Awesome. Okay. Cool, cool. Um, And then I'm going to go back to my text. You can always, if you want to kind of streamline the text font that you use, you can always click on one that you've already used and duplicate it just so you can maintain the same like font style. And then I think what I want to do, because it's similar, like I said, it's right now we're only focusing on two different fonts. We're obviously adding one more, but the first name I always kind of make it bold, um, just because we want that to really stand out. You can add text effects to it. You don't necessarily have to, but I'm gonna to say add a shadow. So usually when you use the black, it kind of pops out a little bit more. So all you're really doing is you click on the effects, you click on the shadow, and then you always click on the color so you can change it to whatever you want. What you'll find out is it'll look a little bit different when you pick different colors. Black always seem to manage to make it kind of pop out and kind of stand out the way you would more than likely prefer it to. So we're gonna do that. And then I want probably like a border right underneath that. So again, my elements, again, is going to be your best friend. So I'm going to go back to elements again. Border. And see, actually, I want a gold. I wanted to make it gold. Golden gold border. All right, and so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to type in gold and just leave it at gold because it gives you some flexibility. And that's what I think I'm going to go for. See all of it. And this is another one. Let me just see. Is this a grunge? Yep, this is another grunge. Grunge effect. So this may be something if you just say if you want to save it, as I mentioned before, you can either click on the element right there and save it to a folder, or even once you open it up, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use this again. Let's see here. In order to find out like the information about the image or the element that you opened up, you can go to scroll down to info, and it'll give you some idea of what the name of it is, who created it. If you want to see some more like that, you can click on see more like this, or you can make a star. So it kind of be like one of the ones that's like considered as your favorites. Otherwise, you can also use it and save it in a folder. I already have a folder called Elements, so I'm going to put that one in there because I know I'm going to use it again, and just click add to folder. But I'm going to put this layer, I'm going to position it behind the images. And then I want to bring this in because obviously I just really want it behind him right here. And I'm going to move it one more time. So I'm going to click on the element. Again, position is key. I want to make sure, even if you want to kind of make it a little bit more transparent, you can click on transparency, and you can kind of lighten it up or darken it up however you want to. And I think I'm going to darken it up just a little bit so it's not too overpowering the background image of him. Okay. And I'm going to type his name in because I don't know his birthday. To make sure August 18, 1970. So you'll put the sunrise, sunset date. You can always retext it or reword it however you want. Some people use different text or verbiage for that, but I'm going to stick to the norm. Sunrise. Was it August 18th, I believe? August 18th, 1970. Sunrise, and then duplicate. I'm gonna put that right underneath so I can just add the date on. All right, and then you can actually click on both and group them together. And then I'm gonna copy it because I'm gonna put the other one on the other side. Oops. And then click and copy. And then I'll do Control V, or you can just right click and click on that. And then I'm gonna move that so it's on the far left-hand side. Ungroup. And move that over here. And that was at July 20th, 2025. Okay. So I'm kind of going for not so much a magazine kind of look, but like that kind of pop out. So it kind of gives you that look of like magazine-ish, or, so it kind of looks a little different than your typical design. And then I'm gonna go And let's see what other elements that I think will make it stand out. Actually, what I'm going to do is grab this information from here because I'm not going to copy all this over. I'm going to just copy and paste. And this is just considered like what would be considered as like funeral home arrangements. I'm going to do that and just paste it down there. So I don't have to type all that information in. But that's typically like whatever normally what the verbiage is that you use, like whoever they're doing the eulogy, the address, the when the visitation, all that good stuff. And you just change it based on the information that you need for whatever service. I'll just pretend like it's July 31st, 2025. Just do that. Now, what I do not want to do, and I've seen this on several where it's just so much incorporated, you have to know like what look you're going for. And I don't actually want to overdo it, overkill with this particular design because I want to kind of simplify it, but make it have some kind of an elegant look to it as well. So I want to overdo it with just too much going on. What I do want to do is find out if I can get like some sparkles, gold sparkles. And if it's and like I said, if it's a element that you like that you use, make sure you save it for future reference. But then I also want to go back to that element where I just typed in gold because I want to have that border. I'm gonna rotate it, kind of turn it. Oops. I'm gonna rotate this image here. There's that rotation bar. If you see it right here, you can always turn it. Let me see here. There we go. I'm gonna make it smaller just because I want to have that kind of right in between. There we go. And then I'm going to duplicate it because I'm going to use that again. The name of the bar, let me just click on that for you. So again, all you have to do is whenever you're using it, just click on the 3 bars. And when you click on info, it'll give it, it's called the gold cello tip illustration. And that way on the recording, it'll be here so you can look it up again. And it also gives you who the person is that created it so you can use it for future reference. What I am going to do though, is I'm going to take this image here and I am going to, again, remove the background because I'm going to use this and I'm going to click on the position again. The position is going to be your best friend. And I'm going to move him directly behind this image here, but I'm going to move it up. I might end up moving it and using it for something else. You're welcome. Let me see something here. I think I'm going to end up using this for the back. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to use it for the back. So then for this side here, I want to include a frame. Y'all know I love doing frames, so look for like a gold frame to use. But I also, okay, hold on, let me change the position here. I'm gonna move this behind here. There we go. So what I did was I just dragged that behind there. But I found a frame online that I really liked. And what I did was I removed the background and I saved it without the background. So I think what I'm gonna do is use this frame. So I technically have him already behind it, But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my position and click on this image because I want to use it again. I'm gonna duplicate so it brings it in the front. And I'm gonna bring this image up some because I wanted to line it here. But I want to make sure it's inside the frame. Mhm. So I'm gonna click on both images and see how this, let me see, bring it right in front of, I'm gonna drag this down in front because I want to get these two images together. Because I want it to be like an inside out type of 3D look. So I'm gonna move this inside here. That's not working. Okay. I know y'all know where I'm going with this. um, so behind. I'm just playing around with this for a little bit, you guys. So I'm dragging this here, but then I'm gonna duplicate it because I want it to be in front. Move it up a little bit because I need to get this right out in front of this image. This may not be the frame for it. It may not be because it's not allowing me to do. Let me try a different frame. I really like this one though. That's crazy. It may not be a fit for this either. I don't want it to be too much. Let me just see here. Yeah, it's not worth that. I don't want to overcomplicate it or anything. So I'm just gonna grab a regular frame. So go back to elements. Um, I'm gonna use this photo. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit and see what I can come up with. And duplicate. Okay, duplicate it and see what happens. The key is gonna be to align it. Ugh, this is not working for me today. I'm gonna revisit that because I'm definitely gonna make this one pop back out because I definitely want to make that a 3D look for sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that look, but definitely the look we're going for with this one. So in the meantime, I'm gonna drag this back. I'm gonna copy and paste the verbiage, the text for this, because we're gonna just keep that simple, so we don't have to review. So again, this would be, you want to make sure you get like all of the like the obituary information as far as like the pallbearers, that that's just your basic information, like where it's going to be located as far as like the cemetery and things like that, because that's always typically on the back copy. And since I use it so often, at this point, I just copy and paste it just to pass the time. You want to always include your logo information as much as possible, because that's if someone has access to your artwork or your design, you never know if they actually may need your services again at some point. So I always try to encourage people to make sure you include your information at all times whenever you're creating. And it doesn't matter any kind of design. Make sure that your website or that any information that links them to you, so that for future business. And I'm going to get. So another element you may want to consider is clouds. Let's see here. Nope, don't like that one. And graphics. I want to use a photo. So I'm going to use this. You can always, as long as as long as there's a color option up there, you can always change the color of whatever you're working on. So I'm just using the color options over here based on the color elements that I've already used. I think I'm going to stick with simple, include that on the inside. I'm trying to think here. What would be an element that might be a good fit, just kind of based on him as an individual that anyone can think of? No thoughts? Sparkles. The clouds. Okay. I'm definitely going to still incorporate that, but I think what I'm going to do, and it may come back around to it, is include that on the inside. Just because I want to definitely keep this, oops, a little formal, a little bit, because I don't want to overdo it with that. And I don't want to overlap the information on here. And I'm thinking I also want to do the gradients. Go to my folder. So there in my folder, I do have a gradient file that I have saved. Let me see, elements, gradients. I use this one very often. It's called Black Shadow on Transparent. I use that one often. So just, for future reference, if you want to use that particular gradient, just to kind of give the bottom of it a certain look. I'm gonna, again, my position, I always use position, position, position. And we're gonna take this and I'm gonna literally put it behind in front of this image. So it kind of gives that like a faded look to it as well. Okay. And I'm thinking of something else to do with this, but I'll circle back around. I'm gonna click now. What I want to do, because I'm not gonna too much change the elements as far as the coloring, I'm going to click on those three dots. I'm gonna duplicate this page because I still wanna go for the similar look, but I'm gonna take out just the basic information and start to put the program information in here. Let me just try something here. I'm actually going to drag this a little bit further over because I'm going to use that a little bit more. I'm going to take this to the top, obviously remove that because I don't need it, and remove that in this. This is where I'm going to take that image that I mentioned before and use that image on here. Again, you want to make sure you do the background remover. But I'm going to take this image and then I want to, for right now, I'm going to fade it. I'm going to drag all this down. So this I'm going to put right here. And I don't think I'm going to need this. So I'm going to put that back where I got it. Okay. So what I think I'm going to go for here is I want to fade this out so this is not like the lines is not there. But then I'm going to go with like putting text over in this area. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to go back to my folder because I do have an element set up for that. And it's not a glare, but it's glow. So I do have like it's this one is considered it's called orange blur. I'm sorry, orange blur circle illustration. And that I use as a glow because you can click on that and then you can change the color to be whatever you need it to be. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this to kind of fade out this so you don't have those lines. I'm going to duplicate it until that's completely like not there because I don't want it to have those lines there. Now, also, again, you go back to position. I want to take these three so, they're not interfering with anything. And I want to merge them together. I'm going to group them together. And then I also want to lock it in so it's not like it won't move. So it don't matter what I'm doing, it's going to keep that right in place for me. So I'm going to undo it so you can see here. So what I did was I grouped them together first and then I locked it in. And then when you lock it in, even if just say this image here, if you lock it in, it won't allow that image to go anywhere. And so a lot of times when we're working on designs, it's when it's complicated because when you're moving things, when you're making designs and doing working with different elements, if it's not locked in, you'll find that it'll move in different places. So in order to keep everything in place, then you want to do that. I'm going to delete this information because I'm not going to use it. But this is where I think I might go with the clouds. I'm going to change the color. I want it to have that look. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to go with that look here. And then again, it goes back to here. We can always change it up however you want to. I try to keep them as standardized as much as possible, just because it keeps the whole process of recreating the wheel. And when you have other ideas, you definitely can redesign it however you choose to. But then it kind of helps you to once you start creating to standardize your designs in a way that you don't have to keep reinventing everything. And then I'm going to change this to white. And even with this image, you can bring him over as much as you want. It doesn't limit like how that needs to go. You can move that on however you want to. I think I'm going to position. Position is your best friend. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to bring that ahead of this one. And you can rotate it however you want to. And even if you don't want it like totally overpowering it, you go back to that transparency and you can adjust that however you like as well. Just however you see fit, you can make those necessary adjustments. This might be where I want to consider doing a flare as well. What I just did was I unlocked the those three images or not glares, but the highlights, because I want to make sure that there's no lines displayed. You can always relock it back up, but I want to make sure that that's not, overpowering, or I don't want to make sure there's no lines that are showing up on there as well. Here, oops, sorry. I want to change this. And I'll move this here as well. Dedication. All right. Okay. And always keep the server, I have like text already in place where I can just copy and paste the service, because that way you don't have to worry about you can always just type in the information as you need it. But I literally have it set up where that information is already like typed out. So all I have to do is just literally copy and paste, and just put in the verbiage that I need to for the program. And then order service, copy, paste, kind of. And I'm going to reposition that. And this is going to be right underneath it. I might just take this and change it up a little bit for service. Okay. Okay. So copy and paste that, and then I think I'm gonna find one other picture, a different picture to use of him. I'll just try type model and see if I can come up with a different look. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Okay, I'll try that again. And drag and drop this one over, maybe one more, just to give me a little bit more flexibility. Maybe not. See here. I'm gonna go with the one I saw just a minute ago. And again, if you're working with this as well, you can just kind of play with it as you like. There we go. I'll use this one. All right, so I'm going to, again, remove the background. And I think I mentioned before that you can somewhat change the coloring. I don't like that. Click on and change the color of the clothing. It look weird, but I'm changing it. So I'm gonna use that image and just change the color just because. And then for those who like, when you have an image and it shows you image up here, it gives you the option to change the color. That basically just says that that's the image that it gives you the flexibility to modify the image, the coloring of whatever, the clothes or whatever for that image that you're downloading. And then I'm gonna use Um, I think I'm gonna use this image here because it kind of goes with the like the standard like look. It doesn't have like too many colors. And position, and I'm gonna move it down some more. There we go. I'm just trying to figure out what filler I needed right there, so that works just fine. You can always fade it out if need be or whatever. But again, that's the look we're gonna go for this one. And then for here, um, the only other thing I think I'm gonna place inside here is a glare and the actual order of service. So lens, glare, you guys probably can tell, or flare, I'm sorry. That's probably one of my favorites because I use it a lot. Um, and see all, just see what we're working with here. I think I'm gonna position that one though behind that image because I want that light literally right behind him. Okay. And close that one. And then the other one I needed was this one. And once I get the order of service, I think we're good. There we go. And I'm just literally copying and pasting this just because for the sake of time. And then paste here, ungroup it. And then this is like your typical like service information. Again, you just fill it in as you know, as whatever is necessary for whatever the program is that you're putting together. Obviously, it'll be different, for each service, but just whatever information you need to incorporate into that. You can always also put in like a poem or like the dedication, reflection. It's just you have that flexibility to put like whatever you want to include in here. And the other thing that I want to make sure we cover as well is when you want to just say add, and I'm going to make up some family members for him. Um, we use frames quite often because the frames gives you the placement where you can kind of keep it organized the way you would like. We're not going to do a lot of frames, but I just want to show you what the options are. So below, if you scroll down, you'll see where they have different frames and grids. Frames literally are placeholders. So when you click on a frame, it literally is going to go in whatever place that you decide that it needs to be on the obituary. And in this case, I'm just going to put some like on the outside a little bit. You can always duplicate it and layer it however you want to. Um, Let me see here. And all you're doing really is putting in images. So just say when you click on your uploads and you just want to add on a picture of him, you can do that. When you hover over that square, it'll put it right in that area. Um, Same thing for this. It'll place the image right there. And same thing for here. Just make sure it's right over that square. So as many images that you want to add on, you can do that. And so anytime, a lot of times when you see that people have obituaries and there's like different images, all they're doing is taking the frames and layering them however they wanted to layer. I can even go so far as to just say, if I just want them right on the edge here, I can do that and just line them up a certain way. It's however you want to position them. So it's again, whatever you want to do with the image, but it gives you that flexibility. Um, The other thing too, let me just kind of, I don't like it right there. I'm going to change it. Before I even post it, I'm going to change it again. So, but that's what the frames are for. So you can have that flexibility where you can kind of design it and move it, maneuver it however you want. But that's kind of like a general layout. The cover, you can do it another page. You can do as many as 4 pages. However you want to do that, you can absolutely do so. Now, for the purpose of, just say if you've created a design and you want to be able to sell that design or repurpose it so that you can sell it online or whatever. So as I mentioned in previous classes, all you want to do is you want to click on share, and then you want to select see all, because what you want to do is create a public, a template link, because you want to be able to place that template in a e-commerce store on a document where you can sell it. And then where it says create template link, you click on create, and then it's going to give you this link to actually be able to use this for repurposing. Now, this is what I would do. I want to download this image because I want to be able to show people what I've designed. I want to click on download, and then I want to download it as a PNG file because I want to repurpose it and create a design to sell. I'm going to click on download. I didn't do that right. Okay, download, and then download. Now, while it's doing that, I'm going to go to my home screen and just kind of give you an example of how I resell it. So this is one, again, I have this particular document set up so that I can resell a design. Before I do anything, I'm going to go to that download and I'm going to extract it so I can actually use that image. So you click on that, file, extract all, and then click extract again. Now it's going to show up here somewhere below where it says Malcolm. Yeah, Malcolm Jamal obituary. So now I want to click on uploads because I want to take that image and I want to drag it back into Canva because I want to be able to use it. So I'm going to click on highlight both of these, put them back inside here as an image. And then these are actually frames that I mentioned before. So I'll just say if I want to detach it, detach image and delete it. Again, detach image and delete, because I don't need that. But I'm going to take these 2 images that I just designed and I'm going to put it inside of this document because I want to be able to promote this particular file. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to drag it below because I want them to get an idea of what this looks like. I have a system where I can generate PLR numbers, but I'll just use this one. But then what I want to do based on this design, let me go back here. I know I saved it, but I want to make sure I do it again, just in case. Template link, copy. So what I do in order to resell my designs, I create I'll click on the element, type in, click here, and I'll use that as my icon. Let's see here. Click here. Button. So it gives all kind of options you can use for, to click here or whatever. And you can just place that image right here. So what I did is I click on the 3 buttons where it says link, I edit link, and I'm going to put this link right here. So what happens is when I download this, I typically will download it as a PDF file. And when they open it up, when they click on this area right here, it's going to click on this document that I just designed. And it gives them, but what it's going to do is give them a copy of it. So it does not allow them to go in and edit my original copy. So by doing this, you can just say, if somebody say, hey, I like this design, you can simply download that, email them this particular document, obviously collect the payment, however you do it. But you can email that particular document. Gotcha. But you can email this particular PDF document to them, and then all they need to do is click on that link, and it's going to open up the document that you designed. But again, it does not allow them the opportunity to modify the design that you made. It's going to open it up as a copy. And I'll go ahead and save it right now so you can see how this works. So again, I tell them always that, this is what they can modify. You can modify backgrounds, you can modify the layout, the grids, the elements, images, colors, whatever. Those are the things that you can actually change. I also give them the information as far as the PL. If I sell it as a PLR, meaning they can go in, they can purchase this, they can resell it if they want to. But this is what PLR means. You can download this design, but you can't just sell it as the original format. So somehow on this design, you need to go and change the image, change something, but it can't be the original design. So that's where the PLR rights go. So they can purchase it, but they can't sell it as the way you purchased it. They need to put their little spin on it. So I'm going to click on download and I'm going to change this to PDF standard because this is the product that they're going to get when they open it up. So it's going to click on that. And so here's the information they'll get when I send it to them. When they click on here where it says click here, it's going to automatically take them to this template and allow them to view the template, edit it, whatever they need to do. So that's how you actually save these. And you can redo the form however you want it, but I'm just saying this is how I've created. And this allows you the opportunity to resell your design. What we are obviously going to do when we get to the latter part of the training is show you how to create your own e-commerce store so you can start to place these designs inside of the store. And I'll just kind of give you an example of the store that I have set up. So my templates, when they purchase, for example, they purchase this one, they're going to get the same thing that I just showed you. They're going to get the PDF document. When they open it up, it's going to give them the opportunity to download it. So again, when we get to the last part, because I'm going to show you how to set up the e-commerce store, but you want to be able to put your everything, each time you create something, start saving it as that particular layout for the document, because what you want to do is accumulate enough designs so that you can start to have products inside your store. We'll go over the store, we'll go over how to set it up, things like that. But we want to get you first in a space where you're constantly creating designs and have them so you can start to, when we get to that part, I can show you how to then start to place them inside the store and you can start to sell it. Does anyone have any questions? No questions, no questions? Okay, so two things. I'm going to stop recording here. We'll revisit the other part because I want to make sure. I think we went through the thing as far as setting up the casket insert, but it's real simple. But I want to still make sure I keep that. So if I forget, please make sure you remind me because I try to get done about 9 every time, and that's going to be cutting it close. But make sure you remind me so before we start the other designs, we can kind of start there first, and then start working on the events and the party stuff. Pause recording.